Feel up your breasts, ladies. Feel it up.
How you pull up, baby? How you pull up? How you pull up?
Oh, what? This makeup look? I don't care about that. Focus. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. Hello, ladies and gents. My name is Alaena, for those who don't know. So in the spirit of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I decided that I will share a little story time about my experience with my little brush with cancer. I don't know if I could say that, but you'll see why. So I just wanted to start off with just a few fun facts about breast cancer. Breast cancer is the most prevalent cancer in the Bahamas and in the world. Roughly 1 in 8 women in the Bahamas are diagnosed with breast cancer. So imagine you're in a room with 8 people. 1 person in the room is gonna have breast cancer. If you have a line of 100, 1,000, a ton of people, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, every 8th person is gonna have breast cancer. That's how many people have breast cancer here in the Bahamas. No bueno. 48% of the women that are diagnosed with breast cancer in the Bahamas are under the age of 50. I don't know how old everyone is who's watching this, but 50 isn't that old. Our average age is 42 years old versus the US, which has an average of 62. There's a trend showing that younger and younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer, and we need to bring awareness to that. We tend to focus only on women when we talk about breast cancer, but it's not limited to just women. Men can also get breast cancer. Mini story time. So I used to work in the imaging department here in Nassau at Doctor's Hospital, and for those who don't know, imaging is X-ray, mammogram, CAT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds, radiology, right? So we had this 70-year-old, he was over 70, maybe like 77. He came in, I guess he found a lump in his breast when he went to do, I guess, at his doctor's visit. So he came in for a mammogram. Those of you know how mammograms are conducted. How can I explain it? So basically, for women, you put your breast on this table and they use another thing to compress the breast. So imagine someone, like women with smaller breasts, or like men, when they have to get mammograms, you can imagine it's a little bit hard. So he did the mammogram. Radiologist suggested that he should go for an MRI, went for an MRI, and long story short, come to find out he had breast cancer. So men, you are not out of the clear either, but I'm here to talk to my women. So this is my story, how I found a lump in my breast. So when I was in 12th grade, I would have been around, I was 17 years old. So this was in September, October of 2013. So at that time, I had already been seeing a gynecologist, and I'm very grateful to my mother who took me to see a gynecologist once I reached, I think maybe 15 or 16, because you have a lot of mothers who are against taking their daughters to see a gynecologist, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous, but it's another story for another day. I was already seeing my gynecologist. So, you know, I was already familiar with conducting breast exams on myself. I might have not been that good, but, you know, I was doing it. So, you know, one night I was just chilling, unwinding, about to go to bed. I have school the next day, and I decided to feel my breast, right? And I feel something. It's like a lump, and it's about the size of a blueberry. So I'm like, I know my breast can feel a little lumpy sometimes, but this feel a little big. So anyway, I ignored it, went to sleep, went to school the next day, whatever, went to swimming, carried on. So the next day I checked my breast again, and by this time the lump was the size of a guava. So I was like, okay. something ain't right here, right? So I finally decided to tell my mom. So, you know, after she used to get home like really late sometimes, so she got home like 10:30 that night. I was, you know, getting ready for bed, and I told her, it's like, you know, hey mommy, I feel a lump in my left breast. So she came, she felt it, and she was like, something don't feel right. Same thing I said, right? So either the next day or maybe 2 days later, we booked an appointment to see my gynecologist. This was through the week, so I went to school or whatever, and then my mom picked me up. We went to see my gynecologist. So immediately when we went in, you know, I spoke with Dr. Carol, and she was like, okay, we're gonna do a breast exam. So the lump I found was in the left breast, so she did the right breast first. I think they do that so they can compare. She did the right breast first, and immediately she was like, what I'm feeling is probably basically nothing. Basically she's saying that I have lumpy breasts. Now, for those who don't know about grading breasts, so when women go for mammograms and ultrasounds, the radiologists grade their breasts. Basically they classify it. So they classify how lumpy the breast is and how dense the breast is. So you can have a mildly lumpy breast or heavily dense breast. They'll use terms like that, right? So she told me that I have a very lumpy breast, and that she suspected that's what I was feeling. And I was like, no, Dr. Carol, I'm pretty sure I felt a lump. I felt a lump. And she was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna check. So she went over to the left breast, and she was like, oh yeah, that's a lump. That's a lump. And by this time it was probably the size of a grape. So it's smaller than it was the day before, the last time I checked it. So it was, I guess, kind of good news, but at the same time it's still there, and then you don't know what it is, so still kind of, you know, scared. She wrote me a requisition to go and get a breast ultrasound at a imaging center. So we did that probably the next day or 2 days later, can't remember. We went to the ultrasound place, you know, waiting, and then we went in. In imaging, you have imaging techs, and then you have the radiologists. The imaging techs are the persons who actually conduct the scans, and the radiologist is the physician or the doctor who reads the images. So the radiologists, they don't actually perform any kind of exams unless that when they get the images, they're unclear and they want to see for themselves. So I went in and I laid down, and then she did the ultrasound. She went on the right breast first because that's the breast without the cyst. Like I said, they like to compare, so they did the one without it first. So she did the breast, rolling over, and I'm looking at the screen, not really knowing what I'm looking at because, you know, I'm a high school student. I don't know anything about ultrasounds. So I'm looking, right? Don't see anything, but you can see on the ultrasound my breast is lumpy. And by that I mean it's just the tissue is it's lumpy, and sometimes some people can confuse that for a lump. But I actually had a lump in my left breast. Anyway, so she went over to the left breast, and, you know, she went over it, and then you can see on the screen, you can actually see like where the lump was. It was like black. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like images or like videos of people doing ultrasounds, like when pregnant women and stuff, like the screen is gray. Where the lump was, it was completely black. So you can actually tell, and it's like a circle. You can actually see like the lump on the screen. You know, takes a few shots of the lump. When the techs do scans, it's important for them to label their pictures because, like I said, the radiologists aren't in the room when they're conducting the scans. They just receive the pictures to their computer. So when they get the pictures, they need to know, is this a left breast? Is this a right breast? Is this even a breast? You know? Okay, the tech, you know, she's labeling when she was on the right breast. She labeled right breast. And when she got to the nipple, she took the shot and then she labeled it nipple. Stuff like that. When we went over to the left breast, same thing, left breast, nipple. And then she also, when we went over the lump, I could see that she typed the word cyst. Now, techs aren't allowed to give diagnosis to patients. However, it's important for them to label it, like I said. So I saw cyst, and, you know, And I saw that, I was a little relieved. I didn't really understand, but when I saw cyst, I kind of knew that it wasn't like that serious. After the exam was done, the tech told us that the radiologist will come in and speak with me. The radiologist came in. So the radiologist and my mom actually knew each other. So when she came in, they had a little, "Hey girl," and then she turns to me and she's like, "It's just a cyst." Like, basically trying to tell me like we were overreacting. And like, I'm gonna hit a bash the radiologist because and that's not what I'm here to do. But the way she made me feel, she was like, she came and she was like, "Girl, this is just a cyst, like I was like, we were wasting their time, or like I'm overreacting." And I was like, I'm a 17-year-old who found a lump in her breast. That should not be taken lightly. And I know it's probably because she realized that she knew my mom, that she can kind of, didn't realize that she was offending us in a way. I felt offended. Like, how would we know that that was a cyst in my breast? There's no way to know that unless I go and get an examination done. Anywho, sometimes some people can make you feel like you're overreacting when it comes to your body, but only you know your body. Like, I knew I felt something, and something that normally wasn't there is there. So I went and checked it out. Now at first, I know I didn't say anything because I'm the type of person to like, I know that I shouldn't do this, but I'm the type of person to like, I try and deal with things on my own before I go and seek help. I'm trying to get out of that, but that's what I do, and that's what I did. But yeah, don't brush things off. Make sure you go and check things out. Another day we went back to my gynecologist, and by this time the cyst was like a lot smaller, almost gone. And she guaranteed us that it was just a cyst and it would go away by its own, and even if it doesn't, they will continue to watch it, and if push comes to shove, it decides it doesn't want to go away, then it can be surgically removed. Luckily we didn't have to resort to that. It went away on its own. I just want to shout out my gynecologist, Dr. Pamela Carroll. She's here in Nassau, Bahamas. She's honestly one of the best doctors. I could talk to her about anything, literally anything. I love her. She's the best. To conclude, I would just like to encourage my younger women and girls to conduct their breast exams, because although my lump wasn't malignant, it wasn't cancerous, it was benign, what if I wasn't checking my breast and it was cancerous? It could have progressed, and I'd probably have to take chemotherapy, radiation therapy, even get my breast removed, or I could have died. Luckily it didn't come to that. It is not uncommon for our younger ladies to get breast cancer, so it's important that I want to encourage our women and our girls to conduct your breast exams, because it could happen to you. Like I said, when I was working in the hospital, we had a few young girls who was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was only working there for a year and change. So please conduct your breast exams. Feel up your breasts, ladies. Feel it up. And if you have any questions about, how to conduct breast exams, I'm not going to show you how to do it. Not that kind of channel. Not that kind of video. But I can maybe, direct you to a graphic or, another video on how to do it. Or maybe even I can give you some information on some gynecologists you can go out and see. So this is the end of my story time. I hope I didn't bore anyone. I hope you learned at least one thing from this video. I don't care if you don't share my other videos, but please share this one, because breast cancer is real. It's prevalent, it's aggressive, and if you catch it early, it can be dealt with. But if it's too far along, then you can only do so much. Feel up your breast, ladies. That's all I have to say.